All right, so with Vmood, it was formed in 2021. So what inspired the creation of the band and how did your members come together?
Well, it started out as a solo project, and I think that to some extent, COVID was somewhat responsible for the creation of Wehmut because I had an amount of free time that I wasn't used to. So I had a lot of creative ideas and a lot of possibilities to just put them out. And I have a main band, Bötes Void, and many of the ideas that I wrote for my main band went into that. But the ideas that I didn't find quite fitting, or that were like maybe a bit too off from the vibes, I just put in a different folder. Then I decided to release it, and I was trying to find a word that would describe my emotions that I put into this, the mood that I'm trying to communicate in one good word. And then I stumbled upon Wehmut, which describes the feeling of melancholic longing to like a better state of being, for example. So yeah, I released that, and then it kind of went on like this through the releases. And when the when I did the first EP, it was actually a split with Skognat after my first full album release, Herbst. We played a few shows together with my colleagues from Bötes Void, actually. And so in that sense, Vmood became a band. So like it's still mainly a studio project where I write everything and produce everything. And up until now, um, whenever we had the chance to play live, like or at a small setting, a small little show just for fun, I had like bandmates who were so kind to learn everything and play with me. So,
Yeah, I like that a lot. I feel like a lot of g really good musicians and bands, they always have like that secondary project because you get so many ideas in your head.
yeah,
And then you kind of just make that side project. And then sometimes I feel like those can be more appreciated a lot too, like the secondary projects. So I really like that. Now speaking of melancholy with some of your works, your music does explore like heavier themes like substance abuse, depression, and like self-hatred. So how do you approach writing in such a deeply personal topics?
well, with Wehmut especially, the way I approach songwriting is not like trying to communicate an emotion, but let the emotion communicate the music, like so to speak. So I go in with the emotion first. Like it could be that I was just really fed up one day with something or with myself or whatever, and I would just like write my thoughts on paper, just try to cope with it somehow, and just created music out of that. So it is somewhat deeply personal, but also kind of relatable, I think, for many people. So maybe that's why some people connect to it better, like with British Void, for example.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I feel like a lot of those songs and like those types of genres, like they can hit very deeply on a personal level, and it's kind of a nice coping mechanism in such a way, especially if people they struggled with that in the past.
Yeah,
Um, now, you released three full-length albums representing each of the seasons.
yeah.
Now, is this was like a planned concept, and do you believe that you're gonna release something related to summer next?
Yeah. So it was intentional. Like um, I was composing Herbst, or like I was more like producing, experimenting with soundscapes and rain and whatnot. And so Herbst came to be, and I was like, I want this. This was just so much fun that I would just like do that for every season. So I was like, okay. And then also Ara released like the second part of a trilogy album, like the Triade trilogy. So I was kind of inspired by that to uh tell a long story over like 4 albums or seasons, kind of. And so it is a somewhat personal journey, but also like inspired emotionally by the seasons. So yeah, I definitely planned that out in that way, and thus the next release, Summer, is going to be heavily musically inspired by that. So it will probably be a bit more black gazy, a bit more dreamy, but still emotionally heavy.
Yeah, and I kind of like that idea because when people relate to like summer, they think of it very like upbeat and stuff like that. So you being able to kind of tie that in with still being like a little bit dreary and stuff like that, I feel like that's very interesting as a concept. And I don't really believe a lot of people have done that before. So I am kind of excited to hear that.
Thank you.
Um, Now with the collaboration release, excerpts from Broken Minds, it does sound really intriguing. Now, can you tell us more about that project and who you worked with on that?
The song actually yeah, came to be in a rehearsal room when our friends of Amemia came over to Würzburg for like I think a show or a weekend or something. Um, so we was just jamming essentially, and then kind of creating this idea, like a drummer, me, and then Sven of Amemia, who's the drummer, but also writes guitar parts and vocals. So we were like in the rehearsal room just jamming, and then coming up with this idea. I recorded it on my phone, and I tried to yeah, program drums fitting to what our drummer had played, and just recording everything, trying to structure it as a song. And then the next time Sven of Amemia came over, we had like a weekend just planning out the vocals, the vocal lines, the lyrics, and everything. And it was a great amount of fun. So we are both really proud of this collaboration and what came of it, and we enjoyed the process.
Okay. Now, how did your relationship with Naturmacht Productions come about, and what has it been like working with them?
So Naturmacht kind of stumbled upon our second release, my second release, so to speak, Winter. I self-released that one before, just digital only, like Herbst. And then he actually wrote me by email and was like, "Hey, I'm really interested in your stuff. It sounds perfect for my label. I'd gladly put you into my roster and everything." I was like, that sounds pretty amazing. Like, yeah, let's do that. And so yeah, working with him was a true blessing, uh, and still is. So yeah, he does put a lot of work into like, yeah, making Vmood available to people. Like if not, it would just literally be like a Bandcamp dump for me, so to speak.
Yeah, it's always nice to have people that are interested in your work and you kind of just build up from there. So I'm really glad to hear that you're able to kind of be able to bring out Vmood to more publicly through that. Now, what are some of your musical influences? Now, it could be within or even outside of the black metal genre.
Also definitely Alcest from France. Um, Kate Bush always in everything I do essentially. Fleetwood Mac, um, yeah, Pine Grove, but also Olhava from Russia, and Paysage d'Hiver is very inspiring to me. Like I don't incorporate elements from musical elements from all these, but they either inspire me artistically or musically. So yeah, these I'd say are currently my biggest influences.
I think that's really interesting because, like, you don't get a lot of people, like, I guess, even mentioning like Kate Bush or Fleetwood Mac. I think that's really cool, especially because I am also a fan of those two outside of that
Hmm.
genre. So I like that. Now you're based in Arnstein, Bavaria. Now, how does your local environment influence your sound or lyrical content?
Mm. Well, in earlier albums it was just depressing mostly because there also was like a little bit of teenage angst or adolescent angst in them. But like especially over the course of writing Frühling, I was kind of making amends with it and like healing mentally and kind of like starting to like the place. So right now it kind of feels like home to me, and that's really comforting. So I don't know. So it in some way it inspires everything I create, I'd say.
Yeah, I like that a lot. So you're not originally from there, like you moved there and now you're kind of healing from that, or
No, no, it was just like uh, in Germany we call it einfach so Kaffkind. Like you just I don't know, it's like suburban, but like even more remote. So like German
mm,
village kind of. So you only have a very small possible social circle. And if you're a social outcast in that like bubble, so to speak, it is you're just having a hard time essentially but I mean, I have built many friendships in Würzburg, so that kind of felt like home for the most of my life essentially, and now I'm kind of feeling more connected to okay, this is fine here. Like
yeah, I like that. Now what role does live performance play in Vmood's identity, and what are there plans for touring or even playing festivals more?
we have one show on the 5th of December this year, and this is actually going to be the last show, at least the last show that I'm planning to do for at least a couple of years. Mostly because I think that like Vmood is more fun to me when I
Hmm.
can just creatively express myself without any boundaries and without having to take into consideration that this stuff has to be able to be played live. Um, and some soundscapes wouldn't be possible. Like I would have to use backing tracks, and that's too I don't know, that's too confusing for me.
Hmm.
So yeah, I just feel like I think this way Vmood would be more fun, and also it wouldn't consume as much time as I already need with my main band, that I also want to give the space and time and place in my life that it deserves. So yeah, live shows were never that important for
Hmm.
Vmood. Um, and I never really planned to do them anyway. Like for the last 3 or 4 shows, I'm like, okay, well, this is the final show. But then everybody was happy and the feedback was amazing. And my colleagues were like, come on, let's do another one. And I was like, okay, but the next one's going to be the last one. And now I am strong enough to like be consequent and say, no, this is going to be the last one. And from then on, Vmood will just live on as a studio project that I will probably, as long as I'm being able to make music, never give up,
Yeah.
you know.
No, I like that. And who knows, maybe you'll even do more live shows after this last one.
Maybe, maybe.
Uh, Now, your split album with Skugnacht was well received. How did that collaboration come about, and who would you consider doing more splits with in the future?
Um, the collaboration came along like pretty spontaneous and just it was very quick. Like he approached me, was like, "Hey, I like your music. Do you mind doing a split?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not?" And then we never spoke again. So I mean, it was fun, but yeah, there's like no deeper connection to that. But
Mhm.
artists I would really like to do a split with would probably be Amimia or a project of a friend of mine that is not really big yet, but it's Winteraske, actually.
Mm.
I'd like to do a split with. And yeah, pretty much it. Yeah, those two, Amimia and Winteraske.
Okay, I like that. Um, Now, for the last question, looking ahead, what can fans expect from Vmood in 2026 and beyond? Aside from what you mentioned about the summer album, do you have any other like upcoming releases that you have in mind? Any ideas, any shifts in style, or even new themes that you'd want to explore?
Maybe like a single drop here and there where I just experiment stuff, or maybe like an EP or something. But I mean, considering the workflow I already have, I think sorry, an album a year is realistic.
Mhm.
Um, Not that I have to, but like I think that can be expected. So yeah, I will continually release stuff over time. Um, but other than that, not much. Maybe a bit of merch or something. Let's see. Maybe vinyl, but probably not. But maybe we don't know yet. Yeah.
I would just see how the fans feel. I mean, vinyl is always great to have, especially based on the design and stuff like that. I think it's always
Mhm.
nice to collect upon. I mean, even in the US, there are a lot of underground bands around the same type of genre that they'll have a vinyl come out, and it's still
Mm.
really nice just to have and play. But yeah, well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time today, and I wish you the best of luck with your project, your other band, and your future endeavors.